The time for this debate has expired. Call on private and local order of the day number 1.
Southland District Council, Stewart Island, Rakiura, Visitor Levy, Empowering Bill, third reading.
Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable Member Eric Roy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I move the third reading of the Southland District Council, Stewart Island, Rakiura, Visitor Levy, Empowering Bill. Can I say at the outset I wish to acknowledge certainly my thanks to the House for allowing us to move directly to the third reading, and it certainly was a prudent thing to do given the time this bill spent in the Select Committee and the fact that it received unanimous support at the second reading. But before I get to speak about the bill, I should acknowledge an event of some tragedy that has overtaken the communities of Bluff, Rakiura, Stewart Island and Invercargill in the sinking of the Easy Rider. And this is the first opportunity I've certainly had. And tomorrow, can I inform the House that there is a large funeral for the 4 of the members whom they've recovered the bodies at Rugby Southland, and I will be attending that, and I'm sure the House would wish me to convey to all friends and family of the people who lost their lives our very best wishes, and we understand their grief. We feel some of their pain, and our prayers and thoughts are actually with them. And I think we would also want those families who haven't got their loved ones back to know that we're thinking of them. And I think perhaps at this time we should also acknowledge Dallas Reedy, the survivor. And in the annals of human survival, 18 hours in photo straight is a feat that is really matched anywhere in the history of humankind. And we just wish Dallas well as he adjusts to actually surviving and losing his mates and finding a purpose for his life from this point on. So I think the House should do that, and I will certainly take the good wishes and our thoughts to the families and friends tomorrow. This has certainly been an interesting passage, and it's great to get to the third reading. I think at earlier stages in the process of this bill, I said that I first became aware of the problem in 1994 when I was the member of Awarua, that the pressures that visitors created on the small community of Stewart Island was a significant issue, and for a number of years we tried to put in place a voluntary scheme for various reasons that wasn't able to be achieved. A bill was drafted, it was sent back for further consultation for I think twice before we actually were able to table it and meet all the expectations and criteria set out in standing orders. It then received 2 extensions in the Select Committee as we worked through some issues which perturbed the then Minister of Government, Honourable Rodney Hyde, and probably perturbed his officials even more. But we've come through that, and I feel a little bit like uttering the comment that Edmund Hillary related to John Hunt after he'd achieved a milestone on Everest. However, I do know that that's probably unparliamentary.
I think so. I think so.
I think that that comment will be used more than once in the South Seas Hotel in Oban after today, when I expect that the House will again generously support this bill, the Stewart Island Levy Bill. Can I just also at this stage thank those members of the Select Committee, and during the course of this process I note that there are 18 people who have been on the Select Committee, and every single one contributed to trying to find solutions to those issues which needed some resolution. I think sometimes members' bills and local bills are when Parliament is seen at its finest. There are no political divides, people genuinely try to find solutions, and at the end of it there are small communities quite frequently, or individuals, who we do make a difference for. And Stewart Island is one of those communities, as I said, has been under a significant amount of pressure. I think members, as we've gone through the process, have extolled the uniqueness and the beauty of Stewart Island, and I think it's appropriate at this third reading that I just also amplify a little bit about the pressures of living on Stewart Island in a way that their cost structure is just so much higher than certainly all mainland communities, and probably higher than many of the island communities around New Zealand as well. Of course, there is the transport component in every single thing that happens across one of the wildest stretches of water in the world, which we just referenced to a little bit earlier. Even things like construction has a very high cost. There is no really good quality aggregate on the island for road building or concrete making. So every single thing that is used on the island virtually has to be transported onto it. And add to that the difficulties of, for example, power generation, where currently the residents and consumers on Stewart Island are paying 58 cents a unit for power generation. And last time I was on Stewart Island was about 4 weeks ago at a symposium that was looking at the various options, from running a cable across to Stewart Island to hydroelectric, to wind, to wave, to current. Just about every alternative that one could imagine was analysed, and some direction was able to be found going forward. And on top of that, because of the high costs, the very nature of the community of Stewart Island has changed. I did say at the outset it's a community that has been under some pressure. We've seen, for example, the fishing industry, which was one of the bigger parts of the island in recent years, shifted south to Bluff for perhaps two reasons. One is the cost of processing on the island. The second one, for reasons of sustainability, some of the quota areas, the QMAs, have been subdivided. It's, for example, the Pawa fishery. It was very easy to spend one's time in and around Stewart Island and deplete the areas immediately adjacent. So that's been separated out, and we have a more spread, a harvest, which has taken some of the activity away from Stewart Island. Currently, I guess the two significant industries on Stewart Island are aquaculture, where there's a large mussel production base, some salmon production, and more recently farmed oysters as well. But the big earner and the big change in Stewart Island has been catering to tourists, and especially since the Rakiura National Park was established, this has gained some momentum. And I think on an earlier speech I talked about cruise ships. It was a rare thing a decade ago to see a cruise ship arrive at Stewart Island. Last year in total there were 13 that visited the island. This year so far I think the number is 19 different cruise ships that have come. The islanders are people of impeccable taste, and they love their MP. And can I just say to any member who has any doubt whatsoever that if you are on Stewart Island, hospitality will be afforded to any member of this House who goes and says, I supported Eric's Levy bill. Let me make that point. And treats such as kinero and blue cod and all those delicacies, which I haven't yet spoken of, will be available to any member who uses that secret password on Stewart Island. So, Mr. Speaker, it's just great that we've actually solved a bit of an issue. One of the last points I'd like to make is that of concern has been that this might set some sort of a precedent. I guess in answer to that, the House does set precedents in what it is doing. But I've made the point in previous speeches in this House in relation to this bill that the situation on Stewart Island is so unique, with a very small population catering for tens of thousands of people, that it's not likely that the exact circumstances will be replicated. People go to Stewart Island for all sorts of reasons as visitors. There's trampers, fishers, bird watchers, or people who just want to get away and enjoy the serenity in what is some very poor cell phone coverage, that they are able to just chill out. Mr. Speaker, I just again thank the House for their participation in this process. I look forward to the conclusion of this matter with the passing of the third reading, and thank all members for their efforts.
The question is that the motion be agreed to.
Mr. Speaker.
I call the Honourable
Mr. Speaker, this House does join with Eric Roy